Firefly out of control. Panther still on the field and looks like it will be taking on this rather unfortunate priest, which is now all by itself and what you call easy prey. At the same time, a large German assault moves in here. Knights Crossholders taking ridiculous losses, barely holding on, and oh dear, Knights Crossholder team is claimed 2 Knights Crossholders. My goodness, those are absolute horrific losses. And looks like the Panther was cleared out. Oh dear, and several Nebelwerfers have been lost, or at least one has been lost in counter-artillery fire from the Neb. Priest, looks like we'll finally be seeing some counter-artillery missions, and we're hearing the howling of the Nebelwerfers as they are screaming a dirge for their fallen brother, hoping to slay as many British. And there we go. Headquarters command truck is lost. Lots of British are lost, and this is absolutely horrific. The central area is a sea of fire and overturned dirt, but this 17-pounder is still there, and the Panther of Jabarel is straight in the line of fire. Oh goodness gracious, it will soon be lost, I wager. And let us return to the captain, the good captain who has so far done so well. In fact, done some quite nice unit preservation, kept on the pressure. And looks like this anti-tank gun is out on its own. The Grenadiers sacrificing some of their men to man it, but at the same time that rendered them unable to actually protect it. Star count flying out of control, but that's not going to stop these British troops who are now continuing like a unstoppable force, although those snipers might have something to say once more, watching from this ridge, firing away. But one is finally taken out by the reconnaissance section, but the reconnaissance section will have to get out of there before it is itself sniped. There we go, retreating sappers and a lieutenant, continuing the lieutenant's veterancy too, which in fact makes him much tougher in that he takes a lot less damage and is much harder to hit. And there we go, taking quite a few sniper hits, but he still breathes. British forces continuing to hold the central line. The Panther is lost. In fact, heavy losses. A fresh Panther arrives on the field, but still no veterancy for them. And I wager these two will still be floating a lot of resources, which is of course tragic. Further Knights Crossholders being thrust into the battle, despite things looking really bad now that, oh dear, further Knights Crossholders are thrown out the window. This is an absolute waste of top quality men, and I'm certainly suspicious, certain of the fact that if these 2 German commanders lose this fight, they're certainly going to find themselves with a one-way ticket to the Ostfront as private soldiers and no longer as officers. Panther continuing its charge, apparently unsupported. Oh dear, moving in. What could happen? Fireflies nearby. Oh dear, 2 of them in fact. They will certainly be lighting this Panther up if it's not careful, particularly since it barely has any support. Puma now on the field. That's a bit curious, but certainly might be helpful against all of this infantry. Further Grenadiers finally being sent out on the field, but this Panther is awfully exposed. And we're seeing another Kangaroo. That's again a bit rare, but certainly not a bad choice. Of course, I'm a bit unsure as to how to use it now, but I'm certainly not going to dissuade players from trying out how to see what sort of usage it has now. And Firefly setting up, which is certainly going to indicate the Major has gone for Royal Scots. So it looks like the British have finally stabilized the situation. They have ground down the Wehrmacht commanders, who have been a bit unfortunate with their choice of investment in resources, not getting any proper veterancy, not getting any proper fighting units for the most part. And now they are paying the price ever so dearly. And artillery flying in now as well, taking out the attendant Grenadiers for this Panther. Oh dearie me, and now running straight into Panther fire, and it's either stand against the Firefly or run straight into artillery fire. And there we go, another shell dangerously close. Oh dearie me. Medic station still around though. Packs being sent forward, and is he spamming Knights Crossholders again? Please don't tell me. Oh dearie me, that's certainly not the strongest of Wehrmacht commanders, and certainly hope this shall be a cautionary tale to all of you Wehrmacht commanders in how not to fight British or how not to fight at all. because just spamming Knights Crossholders, not getting veterancy for them, and spamming Panthers again, not getting veterancy for them, not using infantry, not using combined arms is generally a bad idea. Yes, they had the rather good idea with Nebelwerfers and really blasting the British positions to hell, and I certainly hope you're going to be learning from this and of course remembering this. But otherwise, they had an advantage and they completely wasted it. There's nothing else to say really, it's practically criminal. Stuart getting blown up. Panther still holding the line, but it's barely holding on though. And what is this? V1 rocket, the sniper moving in to deliver the vengeance weapon. And looks like we have it around the nice spot. In fact, there we go. Oh dear. A lot of emplacements going up. Stag count infantry, leaving only behind the 17-pounder and the headquarters command truck. And the major is a bit upset about that. Sort of. Anyhow, certainly an interesting fight, but really, Jalabert, you're certainly going to the Eastern Front. That much is for sure, and so with your little friend. And looks like Fireflies are lining up for a slight defensive position, and we are seeing 17-pounders being laid down to sort of protect against any armored counterattacks, which they can certainly protect themselves from. Counter-artillery fire against the Nebelwerfers. Oh dear. A scene of complete wreckage and abandoned weaponry. Oh dearie me, certainly not looking good for those, since they've just lost their Nebelwerfer artillery battery, kangaroos, yielding the field, hunting the fields, and we are seeing Knights Crossholders being thrust into things again without any support. Oh dear, and barely any points left for the British. Panther driving in without support, apparently not sure what to do, and straight into the line of fire off the 17-pounder. Oh no, and the Firefly joining in as well. Not going to be a happy situation for this Panther, in fact. Two Fireflies, in fact, and another Panther goes kaboom. And German infantry desperately trying to secure some victory points to stabilize the situation for some sort of larger counter-attack, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to be able to leverage things. And what is this? Assault being used against the mortar pit? My goodness, I've never seen that done before. Not entirely sure if it actually has any effect. Doesn't really seem like it. But apparently managing to clear out the mortar pit, and what will be doing? Manning the mortar pit with Knights Crossholders? My goodness. The Eastern Front's almost too good for him. But certainly a nice job from the two British commanders, able to turn around defeat and securing a victory for the Irish Guards right at Arnhem. And certainly surviving all of this artillery, they certainly had the right idea, and the Kampfgruppe commander and his subordinate commander had the very, very wrong idea. They'll certainly have plenty of time to rue it on the Eastern Front, as they find themselves clearing mines. Panther moving in. Going to apparently try and clear out this house. Not much luck with that. In fact, British securing the southern victory points. Central 1 has been rendered neutral. Panther moving in and finding himself under P at fire. Trying to clear out this kangaroo and not having much luck with it. And what is this? Heavy machine gun apparently secured from the Germans. And now all points are either in British hands or in no one's hands. Lieutenant holding on in straight in the face and getting veterancy point 1, which is also in fact gives a command point to the British, although at this point it's not much, but it is certainly an incentive to keep your officers alive. But there you go. The Irish Guards have won. The Kampfgruppe has been beaten out of the fields of Wolfheze, and the way to Arnhem is clear. And there are certainly two Wehrmacht commanders who shall be on a single trip to the Eastern Front, somewhere around Poland during Operation Bagration. Now then, What can we learn from this? Well, if the British commanders stick in like this, Nebelwerfers can really make a difference, and that was certainly well done here. But that was about the only thing that was done right on the Wehrmacht commanders. They didn't use anything else to really leverage the pressure they had there. They didn't get enough infantry. They barely got anything. One commander was in fact floating tons and tons of fuel, but he didn't use it. It was terrible. He could have gotten veterans for his armor. He could have gotten veterans for his infantry. It could really have helped him a lot. He could have really made things a lot differently, but instead he just threw it against the British and lost it. The British, on the other hand, was quite good in, for example, striking all the good places, for example, here, where most of the Wehrmacht defenses were not, and of course ready to get some counter-artillery fire to just blow away all of those Nebelwerfers, which they did quite skillfully, of course. Avoiding the main point of defense, which was here for both sides, was of course well exploited by both, but really I think the British did the most, since they actually had a force that could attack. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this fight, and if you did, why not subscribe or tell your friends, and if you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own. This is Imperial Dane saying, don't play like these two Wehrmacht commanders. Cheers.